the rise, fall, and rebirth of the franchise. In 1993, a game was released that changed everything. It didn't just push boundaries, it blew them to hell and back with a big gun. Doom wasn't just a game, it was a revolution, sparking the coolest craze like no other game. It gave us high-speed demon slaying, an insane modding culture, and one of the best comebacks in gaming history. Oh hell yeah, let's freaking go! This franchise is so loved by fans that to this day people are still finding new and crazy ways and devices to play this on, starting the beloved catchphrase. Yeah, but can it run Doom?
Can it run Doom is a phrase that is burned into the programming design of so many people. So many people have experienced your work on so many different devices. When was the last time you played Doom, and on what device did you play it on?
I think it was probably the PDF on a PC.
Yeah,
Doom
I
PDF.
just saw that. That's recent, right?
Yeah.
Time has passed. Doom went from a legendary FPS to a franchise on the brink of death. Until it came back harder and bloodier than ever. But how did we get here? What the hell happened to Doom? To understand the chaos, we need to go back to where it all began, when the Doomslayer was just a simple Doom guy. It all started with a lone marine, a nameless soldier stationed on Mars. This was due to a fight with his superiors, as he was ordered to execute civilians, but he refused, delivering a swift beatdown to the man given the order. His fate is now in your hands, sent to his doom. The space station he arrives on is in chaos due to the fact that an experiment had gone horribly wrong. Because that's what happens in sci-fi, right? But this wasn't just spilling chemicals on the floor, or like in Half-Life opening portals to alien planets. This was much more sinister, as now the gates to hell were open. Demons flooded the base, killing everyone except you. Armed with nothing but a pistol, you fight your way through hordes of monstrous demons, whilst assembling a bigger arsenal. Knowing that only you can stop this onslaught, you take this fight to hell itself. After slaying the spider demon leading the assault, Doomguy returned home to his bunny Daisy, for all hell to break loose just moments later, murdering Daisy and sending Doomguy into a rage like no other. Now things have become personal. Within the ultimate version of Doom 1, a final chapter has been added where you seek revenge for Daisy. However, the demons still make their way to Earth, despite all your efforts to prevent them.
The spider mastermind must have sent forth its legion of hellspawn before your final confrontation with that terrible beast from hell. But you stepped forward and brought forth eternal damnation and suffering upon the Horde, as a true hero would in the face of something evil. Besides, someone was gonna pay for what happened to Daisy, your pet rabbit. But now, you see spread before you more potential pain and gibbitude as nations of demons run amok among our cities. Next step, hell on Earth.
Bigger, bloodier, and more brutal. The first Doom was a massive success, so naturally, Doom 2 cranked everything up. More demons, more weapons, and the super shotgun. Still known today as the most satisfying boomstick in gaming history. But here's the twist. This time, hell isn't just on Mars. It's on Earth. Billions of people have been massacred, but the battle-hardened survivors have developed a plan. One last hope for humanity. Escape, not just the demons, but Earth itself. However, the only way to do so would be via a spaceport. Typically, this would be overrun by the demonic hordes of hell, preventing any ship from escaping. This is where the protagonist, as a lone wolf, earns his title as the Doom Guy, pushing through countless hordes just to deactivate the force fields of the spaceport to allow the survivors safe passage. During their escape, Doomguy receives a transmission from them in orbit, revealing that the demonic base is in the Doomguy's own hometown, infecting and killing everyone, including his family. So it's time you do what you do best. Slaughter montage!
Nope.
With the bloodlust of 1,000 demonic creatures, and his eyes burning hotter than the flames of hell, he carves a path through the hordes as he destroys every demon in his wake, until he stumbles across another gate to hell. Using this, Doomguy takes one final stand against hell itself, as he travels to the location of the Icon of Sin, a gigantic demon goat head that awaits him, which he kills with a smirk on his face, thus ending the demonic invasion.
The horrendous visage of the biggest demon you've ever seen crumbles before you. After you pump your rockets into his exposed brain, the monster shrivels up and dies, its thrashing limbs devastating untold miles of hell's surface. You've done it. The invasion is over. Earth is saved. Hell is a wreck. You wonder where bad folks will go when they die now. Wiping the sweat from your forehead, you begin the long trek back home. Rebuilding Earth ought to be a lot more fun than ruining it was.
But I can't end this section without mentioning a little Easter egg or two about the final level. Upon entering it, you'll hear a demonic dialogue, which just so happens to be John Romero's voice saying, "To win the game, you must kill me, John Romero."
My head in the game is behind his brain. When you come into the room, you hear this evil demon voice, and basically if you reverse it and listen to it, it says, "To win the game, you must kill me, John Romero, because I'm back there." I didn't do it on purpose, it was a total joke.
He added this after he discovered that the other members of the dev team had actually put his head into the level. Where, you might ask? Well, he just so happens to be the brain of the Baphomet, the Icon of Sin himself, that you fire your rockets into.
The artists were playing a joke on me sticking my head back there. And I found out, because I'm programming the sound effects into the game, and I'm going back there so I can just shoot the dot that is behind there that ends the game. And when I went back there, I saw that they replaced the dot with my head on a stake. And I'm like, oh, they thought the game was gonna come out and they played a trick on me because it was close to the game getting done. So when I found that out, I'm like, I need to put something in the game that lets them know that I know what they did.
To win the game, you must kill me, John Romero.
Oh, and of course a Wolfenstein level just made a sneaky appearance too. Satisfying their hunger for power, the UAC are once again developing and experimenting with dimensional gateway technology. This time, a little more prepared. With a solid military presence, they open up another gateway, but this time in Io, one of Jupiter's moons. Confidence in this research only grows after the Marines annihilate the forces of Hell after the first experimental gateway is opened. A few months later, a yearly supply trip comes ahead of schedule and looks strange and unusually big on the radar. Dismissing the warnings, an enormous ship from Hell appears before them, built out of steel, stone, flesh, blood and corruption. Before the UAC can react, the ship unleashes a syndicate of demons upon the base. Overwhelmed, the entire facility gets overrun, and everyone is slain or zombified. Doomguy, out mourning the loss of Daisy, misses this ordeal, thus escapes death and zombification. Ha! Right, like the forces of Hell could stop Doomguy. After being attacked by an imp, he rushes back to the base where he sees a demonic spaceship still hovering above it, and realizes what has happened. He then swears that he will avenge his slain troops, and sets out to kill as many demons as possible. Battling across the moon's surface, he leaves a war-torn wasteland, but that can't deter his progress, as he makes his way to the demon spitter, which turns out to be a glorified icon of sin.
Suddenly, all is silent. From one horizon to the other, the agonizing echo of hell fades away. The nightmare sky turns to blue. The heaps of monster corpses start to evaporate along with the evil stench that filled the air. Jeez, maybe you've done it. Have you really won? Something rumbles in the distance. A blue light begins to glow inside the ruined skull of the demon spitter.
The UAC might be learning their lesson, as now they have created a secret base within the dense jungle on Earth. The scientists start working on a device known as the Quantum Accelerator, intended to close invasion gates and stop future invasions. The work seems to be going well, but this gets the attention of the demons. A gate opens in the heart of the complex, and unnatural horrors pour out. The Quantum Accelerator performs superbly. The gates are quickly closed and the invasion is stopped, so the research continues more boldly. On the next day, 7 gates open and an even greater invasion begins. In the first hour, the Quantum Accelerator manages to close 6 of the gates, but the hellish army has become too numerous and too strong. The complex is overrun and everyone is slain, or zombified. The gates of hell remain open, guarded by a gatekeeper, a powerful, enormous and ancient demon that has the power to open dimensional gates. Terrified the quantum accelerator will be destroyed or used against humanity, a distress beacon goes out to all available Marines. Luckily, the Doom guy wasn't too far, relaxing on the beach, so he takes off his armbands and puts his suit back on, ready to put hell back in its place. Arriving first, he discovers that everything is overrun and the relenting force isn't slowing down. Knowing he can't wait for reinforcements, he proceeds on alone, trudging through the piles of the undead until he reaches the hive to stop this new threat, the Gatekeeper. Although, once realising it's just another icon of sin, Doom Guy laughs this off with a rocket of 3 to the face.
The Gatekeeper's evil face is splattered all over the place as its tattered corpse collapses. An inverted gate forms and sucks down the shards of the last prototype accelerator. Not to mention the few remaining demons. You're done. Hell has gone back to pounding the dead bad folks instead of the good live ones. Remember to tell your grandkids to put a rocket launcher in your coffin. If you go to hell when you die, you'll need it for some final cleaning up.
Final Doom is an expansion of Doom 2 that includes 2 32-level campaigns. It was released on June 17, 1996 by id Software under the initiative of John Romero and developed by members of a fan community belonging to Team TNT. Final Doom includes 13 levels from the master level in the PlayStation version. You might have wondered why I mentioned this. Well, Final Doom was actually the very first version of Doom I ever played. I remember linking 2 PS1s and 2 TVs together and playing Winner Stays On with my family. And well, I just wanted to ask you guys, what's your first memory of this amazing franchise? So please, just take a moment to quickly let me know what your very first Doom game was and why you loved it so much. A lot of people think Doom 3 came next, but not so fast. Doom 64 was released for the Nintendo 64, and it wasn't just a port, it was a full sequel. You play as the Doom guy after the events of Doom 2, returning to finish what you started. This time, the demons had one trick up their sleeve, the Mother Demon, resurrecting the armies of hell on the bases constructed on Mars's moons. UAC knew they only had one hope, the Doom guy. So of course he had to head back to the spaceport to put an end to the Mother Demon. And at this point I just want to quickly mention the visual improvements were such a nice change, although the Demon Mother let the demons down, not reviving all the demon variants from the previous games. Like what the hell, man? Returning to hell with a new shiny weapon, the Unmaker. He slaughters the Mother Demon, but is this really enough? Doom Guy has become tired of the thought of rest. Just to be disturbed, to quell another uprising was becoming too tiresome. So he decided the only thing to do was to stay in hell and prevent any further outbreaks, making hell not only his new home, but his bitch.
Finally, the mother of all demons is dead. The blood pours from your eyes as you stand in defiance. As the only marine to endure the slaughter, you decide to remain in hell and ensure no demon ever rises again.
Then came Doom 3, and instead of a high-speed action, unless we're talking about speedrunners, we got slow, methodical horror. The game ditched the fast-paced mayhem for atmospheric terror, jump scares and storytelling. I mean, what the hell, storytelling in Doom? Right, let's spin up the other overlay, just so you guys can see each other chatting and bear waffle. Whoa, Stro Sheila, you made me jump. This was different. Some fans loved it, others, well, just say they're still waiting for something that felt like classic Doom. It probably didn't help that this was a soft reset of the other game's story, retelling the events of the first game, but in a different light, a really dark one. Playing as the protagonist Doom Marine, dubbed this name by the fans as he's not seen to be the OG Doom guy from the original games, but an alternative version of the man we know and love to slay demons as. Your journey once again starts in the space station on Mars. Humanity is transforming the planet into a habitable environment when they stumble across a Martian civilization from years prior. This would change humanity's mission on Mars, as they would begin to excavate the planet, unlocking new mysteries on the way, one being interdimensional transportation. So, of course, Humanity, doing what it does best, with the help of the UAC scientists, began to recreate this tech. However, this is where things start to go wrong. Humans start travelling through portals, resulting in demon sightings around the space station. Dr. Petruga, the lead scientist, enters a portal to return as a creepy shell of himself. Could he be possessed? Or just influenced by hell itself? So this is where you come in. I mean, Doom Marine. He is sent to find a missing scientist. However, upon discovery, a portal from hell opens up, causing chaos to infect the ship and everyone on board. Now you're tasked to track down Bravo team and help them send a distress signal for reinforcements. Swan would plead for you to back down, and then you're left to make the decision yourself. I personally triggered the signal, and if you choose not to, you find out that Petruga sent the signal anyway. This is because he wants to corrupt them with the forces of hell and use them to take control of Earth. Bum bum bum. Wannabe Doom Guy then meets up with Ian McCormick, where he tells Doom Marine about Petruga controlling and unleashing the forces of hell via a mysterious artifact he collected in the underworld known as the Soul Cube. Doom Marine makes his way to the Hell's Gateway, and when arriving, Petruga activates the Void, unleashing 2 humongous Hell Knights. Doing what he does best, he obliterates them, and with the lust for blood, he jumps into the portal without hesitation to retrieve the Soul Cube. Taking down the Guardian, Doom Guy is able to retrieve Z Cube, and returns back to the spaceport on Mars to have a few cold ones with the remaining crew. But Petruga has other plans and claims there's a bigger, more deadly portal that exists. So no beers for Doom Guy. You find Swan injured and he tells you Sarge has been corrupted by Petruga. So once again, you do what you do best, destroying another one of the beasts created by the corruption of hell. During your journey, you stumble across another scientist that claims we might be originated from the alien species that used to inhabit Mars decades ago. However, this isn't a game about discovery, this is a game about bloodshed and carnage, so Doom Marine tracks down the final portal to put a stop to Petruga and the hordes from hell. A cyber demon is guarding the entrance, but luckily your little trip to hell earlier wasn't in vain, as his weakness is the Soul Cube you had retrieved. The Doom Guy is discovered a week later, and Petruga retreats to hell where he becomes one with a demon named Maledict. Your mission was originally to figure out what's going on, and you went to hell and back to find out. The Doom 3 DLC follows a different Marine, and well, who cares about him? Long story short, you finally get the double barrel shotgun and you use it to blow the demons back to hell, and Petruga, well, you ram the artifact into his gob, causing him to disintegrate. You wake shackled to a stone sarcophagus, surrounded by corrupted cultists, and your first instinct? Smash a demon's skull with your bare hands. Who needs a pistol anyway? That's the moment you knew. This isn't a reboot, this is a goddamn resurrection. You're not just a soldier, you're the Doom Slayer, a force of vengeance pulled from ancient prophecy. Once a mortal who lost everything to the forces of hell, you fought so relentlessly that hell itself locked you in a sarcophagus, praying you'd never return.
I assure you.
Oh hell yeah, let's freaking go! The UAC, now fully run by power-obsessed cultists, is tapping hell for energy, calling it Argent Energy. It's powered cities, economies, and themselves. But the cost? Massive demonic incursions. One doctor corrupted by hell, the other travels to hell to retrieve Doomslayer's tomb, returning him to Mars. When the demons break loose, he is awakened. But does that make him the good doctor? You're not there to reason. You don't care about redemption or politics. You exist to kill demons. And they remember you. They call you the Unchained. No. The Hellwalker. Nope, that's not it.
The Doomslayer.
You are correct.
Dr. Pierce opens portals around the base, starting a full-on invasion, whilst the AI assisted by Dr. Hayden's brain assists Doomslayer on stopping her. She's hoping that overloading the Argent Tower will permanently open the portals to hell, and of course, Doomslayer must put a stop to this. Dr. Hayden begs him to spare the Argent, but Doomslayer doesn't take orders from nobody, let alone a brain and a robot. When he finally catches up with Dr. Pierce, he's just a little bit too late. She throws herself into the Hell's Drill whilst clutching the accumulator, ripping Hell wide open, dragging you back inside, and oh boy, that was a mistake, taking you to the place where you thrive best. After kicking some ass and taking some names, Doomslayer takes a portal back to Mars, where Hayden sets him up with a device that will teleport him back if he ever gets stuck in Hell. After finding out he needs to go back to Hell, the Doomslayer retrieves an Argent accumulator from the chest of a cyber demon. This transports them both to Hell, where he finishes it off with a devastating blow. After grabbing the artifact, he is teleported back to Mars. The Doomslayer then finds and destroys the facility where Vega is stored, in order to use the Argent power to enter Hell once again. This guy just can't get enough. Using the Crucible, he destroys the well's power source and closes it. Pierce transforms into a giant spider demon, which, of course, the Doomslayer, slays, which leads to Hayden to pull him back to Mars. However, this isn't to aid him, as Doomguy is incapacitated by Hayden, and he takes the Crucible from him. Knowing that Doomguy will prevent him from harnessing the powers of Hell, he proceeds to wipe him from this mortal realm, but he forgets one little thing. He can't actually kill Doomguy, so he banishes him to an unknown location, stating that one day, you will meet again. A new invasion is led by 3 priests, Nylok, Rennek and Grav, and they work for the Khan Maker. Ooh. She wants to extinguish life on Earth in order to save her own, so of course, Doomslayer must put a stop to this. I mean, this is why he's been awakened after all. I'm coming, baby! Yes! Okay, I'm hyped to play this. I'm so hyped to play this right now. So he takes down the first priest, removing his head, so he can give it to his 2 new playthings, which scatter in fear. He meets up with the betrayer and makes some trades so he can locate the priest number 2. However, Doomslayer gets bored and discovers a way to possess a revenant and uses him to acquire the super shotgun, which now sports new meat hook tech, allowing for more carnage. And he's gonna need it, as the next priest hides behind demonic doom hunters that he's created just to take him down. Of course, this doesn't stop him, as he slices the second priest's head off too. Will this be a hat trick? The Khan Maker moves the final priest to a more discreet location, to allow their work to continue without further disruptions. You know, like the Doomslayer removing his head. Of course, only Dr. Hayden can find his location, so you grab his remains and chuck him in the mainframe of the Doom Fortress. No surprise, he's hiding away in the core of Mars. Luckily, Vega knows a shortcut. This is where we see the new and improved BFG-10K. So of course, we use this big fucking gun to blow a big fucking hole into Mars. Now it's time to find the priest to decapitate, but not before collecting this mammoth of a weapon. This is where you run into the Night Sentinels. Hello! Showing your might, defeating the behemoth that guards the last priest. And well, it's time to remove his head too. This results in you being shunned and banished by the Sentinels, as you did this on sacred ground. But you don't really care about that. You're the Doomslayer. With her plans in ruin, she results in the oldest trick in the book, summoning the Icon of Sin. But this time, Doomslayer won't be fighting a texture on the wall, as for the first time ever, he gets to marvel in its true power. Slaying everything in his path, he severs the Khan Maker's control over the Icon of Sin, using the dagger he got from the Betrayer. As she flees, he shows the Khan Maker who has the real power. Before plunging the Crucible into the skull of this mighty titan, taking down the Icon of Sin, stopping Hell's forces one last time. For now, anyway.
And you will be their savior. Your strength will be their shield, and your will their sword. You remain unbroken. for your fight is eternal.
The war was over. Hell was broken. The demons were scattered. But peace? That was never part of the plan. Not when the gods themselves are corrupt. After the events of Doom Eternal, you've done the impossible. Earth is saved, and the demonic priests are dead, and the Maker's empire is collapsing. But the balance between our dimensions are also crumbling, and to top it all off, a greater threat looms. The Father, the godlike creator of the Doom universe, is missing. Hiding, some say. The corrupted Khan Maker is dead, and in her absence, the demons have begun rallying behind ancient power, destroying her world. Your mission? Find the Seraphim, once an ally of the Father, now hiding in the body of Samuel Hayden, which is convenient, as it's him in Vega's body who tasks you to go find him. He will then reveal your next target, the Life Sphere, a celestial relic that contains the soul of the Father, also known as God, sending Doomslayer to hell once again, in hope that using the Life Sphere, he could restore the Father's physical form and help defeat the forces of hell once and for all. After overcoming the trials laid out for him, he not only discovers the Life Sphere, but discovers the Life Sphere of the Dark Lord. Knowing that he was betrayed by Samuel Hayden's true form, as he took him away from his fight with the Dreadnought, Doomguy enters Berserk mode, crushing the Life Sphere in order to take the sphere of the Dark Lord. But here's the twist. To destroy evil at its root, he has to bring back the Dark Lord first, knowing that he could restore the devil, Lucifer himself, to his physical form and beat him in ritual combat, would then result in all of Hell's forces that resides outside of Hell to die with him. I mean, destroying the forces of Hell and stroking bunnies is all the Doomslayer lives for. And well, it's about time he stroked some more bunnies. So of course he's going to resurrect the Dark Lord and go give him a can of whoop ass. Hayden attempts to stop the Doomslayer, but after a quick beatdown, you hand the orb to the Makers, restoring the Dark Lord, who, to the Slayer's surprise, mimics his own image, the Doomslayer. Without hesitation, he shoots at the Dark Lord. However, blood cannot be shed in the Holy Chamber, and he leaves, but not before arranging a playdate in Hell.
The Dark Lord is the leader of Hell's armies, not a king, but a warrior of the Dark Realm. The fiercest among them, as only the strongest could rule the demons. It is you, in their world.
Dun dun dun. Time for another wild goose chase. However, this one rewards Doomslayer with a shiny new hammer for lifting the Betrayer's son's curse. You know, that titan that Doomslayer just left for dead? To reach the World Spear, Doomslayer must light the Torch of Kings, signifying to all that a warrior seeks passage. Out of nowhere, a dragon comes to pick Doom up, and of course Doomslayer being Doomslayer can't resist a ride. Woo! Let's go, baby! Retrieving the key, Doomguy makes his way to the gates of Divum. As he arrives, all hell is there waiting for him, with chocolates and flowers. The Dark Lord even put on a fancy suit. Oh wait, no, that's just the hordes of hell, here to tear his flesh from his bones, whilst Big Man's suit here resembles a Space Marine's armour. However, his one sports 3 shoulder rockets. To Doomguy's surprise, backup has actually arrived. After 32 years, backup's finally arrived. All of the friends that he's made along the way are here just to get slaughtered, so Doomguy can go tear his own face off the Dark Lord's body. Flying through the castle walls and flinging himself through the air using the enemies, Doomguy relentlessly pushes his way to the Dark Lord. After a short game of fisticuffs, the Dark Lord starts opening up about his past. Yeah, this guy is definitely the opposite to the mute Doomguy, but Doomguy doesn't really care if he's a true creator. He just wants this over with.
By his hand, all things were made. Even you.
Doom wasn't birthed from the fires of hell. Doom was a brainchild that belonged to 4 guys: John Carmack, John Romero, Adrian Carmack, and Tom Hall.
Me, John Carmack, the lead programmer, Adrian Carmack, the artist, the only artist that we had, and then Tom Hall, who was a creative director / game designer. And so we'd made a couple shooters before we made Wolfenstein, and those shooters were not visceral. Even though in Hover Tank you were shooting out of a tank, it just didn't knock people down like a tank really would. So when we did Wolfenstein, and you're basically like sitting there on the chain gun, filling this guy up with bullets, and he's sitting there like dancing and blood is flying out of him. That was just like, okay, now we're talking. No one's seen this before. Like, I had not seen a game like that before.
These were the co-founders of id Software. Back in the early 90s, they were pushing PC gaming to its limits. First, they gave us Wolfenstein 3D. Second was Doom, a game that changed everything. The secret? A new game engine with smooth movement, dynamic lighting, and that satisfying gunplay. Combine that with the ability to mod the game, and suddenly Doom wasn't just a hit. It was chaos that gamers alike would welcome into their lives. However, after Doom, Tom Hall left due to disputes on what direction Doom 2 should go in. Then, after Doom 2, things changed once again. The original team split even more, as Romero left to create his own company.
Nobody really worked well at that time. It was a real stress that it took a year to get the engine made before we could actually make the game at the frame rate and the scale that we wanted it to. The focus was on making the best technology in the world, but not necessarily the best game design in the world like we had done before. So I knew that in November of '95 that the decision to make the game that we were making it was the end of the company for me. So for me, I'm like, I got to finish this game, and then I'm gonna go. And it came to a head. They wanted me to go as well. So that's basically what happened. And then half the company left within 6 months. Half of it dumped out. It was because it was such a stressful game to make. It just kind of cracked the company in half. No, when I leave the company, it was done, over. So actually, all the work I did on Quake, I got no money for Quake at all. I left right after Quake, so I got no money from Quake at all. So I made that whole game and made nothing from it. If I can keep making games, I'm happy.
Whilst the Carmack brothers pushed the tech forward, creating a new engine for Doom. Not actually blood brothers, but brothers in the gaming industry. This would then be used to create Doom 3. Well, it was a risk. A spin on the series, slowing the gameplay down everyone had grown to love, and ramping the horror aspects up, which wasn't to everyone's liking.
Oh, hello. You were waiting to give me a little kiss?
However, some of the more OG fans preferred this, than how the current games have gone with the introduction of gods. Overall though, the changes made since Bethesda have been in control have only been to grow the franchise even more, returning the game to its former glory as the best FPS shooter in the world.
Yes!
Or at least one of them. After Doom 3, the franchise went silent. Adrian Carmack was forced out of id Software due to disputes with stocks, leaving John Carmack as the last OG founder of id Software. Until November the 22nd, 2013, when John Carmack resigned from id Software to work full-time at Oculus VR. During all this time, there were plans for Doom 4, but it didn't really feel like Doom. Early concepts looked like a generic military shooter. Development dragged on, and eventually the project was scrapped. By the late 2000s, it seemed like Doom was done. But then, Bethesda stepped in and saved the day. They bought id Software and gave them one mission: bring Doom back. And in 2016, they did, changing Doom's future forever. Here's the thing, Doom never really died, nor do I think it ever will, as it's just as indestructible as the Doom guy himself. Sometimes loafing around in a field playing with bunnies, other times in hell, trapping the demons inside with your wrath of 1,000 men.
Yeah, baby!
Even when id Software wasn't making games, the fans kept it alive. Modders created insane new levels, total conversions, in which even included multiplayer versions of Doom. Hell wasn't the limit, as these talented modders surrounded themselves in chaos as they cooked up mod after mod. Ever heard of Brutal Doom? Well, that mod made the original game feel like you're playing with Daisy, compared to this intense, brutal counterpart. Some fan projects got so big, they became full-on games. Without this community, Doom might have faded away. However, this community is so strong and will continue growing to ever allow hell to win. I even have people aged only like 11 years old in my community still making Doom mods to this day. I mean, it's crazy. As I dove deeper and deeper into the land of WAD, I realised people had even made remakes of other childhood classics, like Zombies Ate My Neighbours, which sparked off my love for zombie games in the first place. Talking about zombie games, the Call of Duty community have just released a Doom 2016 Assets and Models pack to be used in custom zombie maps, meaning that not only can you make Call of Duty maps in Doom, but you can also make Doom maps in COD, which I must say is pretty freaking awesome. Back to Zombies Ate My Neighbours, this WAD transformed this 2D SNES game into a 3D world, allowing you to explore this game in a way that you might have never thought possible. The passion, time, and energy that these people put into modding fuels the hunger for more, fuels the hunger for Doom, fuels the hunger for a Doom, fuels the hunger for Doom, fuels the hunger for a Doom, fuels the hunger for a Doom-filled future. Yeah, got it. So where are we now? Doom Eternal took the series to its peak, but what comes next? Doom Dark Ages. The community is bigger than ever, thriving in the depths of hell, creating and playing the most insane mods they can get their devilish fingers on. Players who once despised Doom 3 now look at it in a different light, appreciating all it's done for the franchise. They even released a mobile game over the last few years that helped bring new people to the franchise with this fast-paced, addictive mobile masterpiece. This would allow me to get a fun, fast-paced fix when I'm out walking the dog, whilst regretting touching grass as I crave. No, I yearn for my PC for my next Doom fix. Yeah. I mentioned at the start of the video that Doom sparked a unique craze among fans. But can it run Doom? This refers to the numerous ways and devices that people have tweaked to run the beloved OG Doom. Here's just a small list of devices and software that these amazing people have got Doom to work on, such as TypeScript, a supermarket weighing scale, a Fallout Pip-Boy, Google Sheets, digital picture frames, ROS 2, Google search bar, a cotton candy machine, Word documents, DDR cabinet, a freaking PDF file, a pinball machine, a Motorola WT-4090, and even on a volumetric display, which, I'm not gonna lie, looks freaking awesome, and I'm pretty sure that's what people thought future gaming was gonna be like. id Software isn't is it ID Software or id Software? id Software sounds so stupid. I prefer ID Software. So ID Software isn't finished yet, as Doom Guy's story continues to rip and tear into our attention spans. This new Doom will be transforming the core gameplay elements once again, and must I say, in a pretty cool way. Unlike Doom 3. No, to be fair, I liked it. Kinda. And, well, I'm not going to go too much into detail on this new game, but I will ask you all one thing. Are you ready to rip and tear this game all the way to hell? I almost said that without giggling. Doom wasn't just another game. It was the birth of FPS dominance. It inspired everything from Halo to Call of Duty. It gave us speed, violence, and metal-fueled chaos. And even after all these years, the legacy of the Doomslayer is far from over. Even if at a point we thought he could be trapped in hell forever, he was able to break free and wow us with Doom 2016. But what do you think? What's your favourite Doom game? Are you ready for Doom Dark Ages? Let me know in the comments down below. My conclusion is that Doom started off strong, inspiring many games and people to create amazing content. Things went downhill with their more horror approach, but have now seemed to redeem themselves with the most recent installments. However, the lack of story and consistency with playing as the Doom guy might be the true hell on earth, as it could be the end of the beloved franchise, which I highly doubt. But when doing my research, the lore was a little bit all over the place, stating that games such as Final Doom you played as a random commander, but then in other sources it stated you were the infamous Doom guy. These errors in storytelling need to be ironed out in the newer games, and they need to be consistent with the lore. New lore! I mean, this would keep some of the fans happy. However, Doom isn't known to be much for the story, so as long as ID Software continues to invent new and crazy mechanics for this beloved franchise, then people always come to hell to party. And the Doomslayer knows how to party. If you enjoyed this trip to hell, then smash that like button and subscribe for more gaming history. But most importantly, so I can reward myself with a cookie.
I'm gonna kill you.
You guys have been amazing, where I've just been Elwood from Not So Serious Gaming. Hope you have a great morning, evening, night, whatever freaking time it is. I hope you have a great one. And goodbye. I freaking need to get some food. I'm hungry and that took me forever. Bye.
The fuck was that?